about something that has really upset Theo Von. It would upset me too. Take a look.
Heard you got deported, dude. Bye.
They simply stopped coming. They're not coming anymore. We're getting a lot of credit, but they're not coming anymore.
Turns out that comedian and podcaster Theo Von is not too happy about the fact that the Department of Homeland Security has used a clip of him in one of their snuff film social media posts, which unfortunately have been a thing under the Trump administration, essentially humiliating and making light of people who are being detained, in some cases violently so. Now, I'll get to what Theo Von has to say about the inclusion of one of his clips in one of these videos, but before we get to his response, we need to understand how his comments are being misconstrued. So in the original video, Von was asked by a fan to record a message for their friend who got deported, which that's why you kind of have to be careful with some of these videos, but nonetheless, here's the original.
Heard you got deported, dude. Bye.
Okay, so again, that was a message that he sent as a request from a fan. Now, it's unclear if the girls filming actually had a friend get deported or if they were just like joking around with Von, who has previously had the likes of Trump and JD Vance on his podcast, which I don't have a problem with him interviewing whoever the hell he wants, okay? So let's just get that out of the way. But it's pretty obvious that he was trying to be funny and wasn't trying to make a serious political point. Nonetheless, DHS took a quick snippet of that video and used it for their own purposes without talking to Von, without asking for permission, without making sure he'd be okay with it. And he's not okay with it. He posted on X, "Yo, DHS, I didn't approve to be used in this way. I know you know my address, so send a check. And please take this down and please keep me out of your banger deportation videos." Banger is in quotes, which means he's being sarcastic there. "When it comes to immigration, my thoughts and heart are a lot more nuanced than this video allows. Bye." Now, Von has spoken out against the misuse of his likeness and of his content before. He spoke to Rolling Stone back in 2023 about his fear of losing ownership or control over his viral content, telling them that it's amazing and it's scary because you don't have control. "I'm grateful for it, but at the same time, it's very lawless in that world. People can make whatever they want. We've created an environment where one thing that gets out there can make it so that that's all you are." And I think he's making a totally legitimate point about how your likeness can be used to make a point about you that ends up lasting for eternity. And it's unfair because it could be taken out of context. But the big question is, how does Theo Von actually feel about Trump's immigration efforts, or deportation efforts, I should say? Well, he explained in a video that he uploaded earlier this summer. Take a look.
A lot of deportations going on. It's sick when you see like children crying and people being taken from their parents. It's heartbreaking. We're just coming off a huge influx of people that were just let into the country during the last political administration. We've had border patrol agents on, it's undeniable. A lot of them are not even from Mexico. A lot of them are not laborers that were just coming over for fruit season or for farming season and then coming back. A lot of them are not that. So, when Trump he's heavy-handed. That's who he is, right? We've also had a broken system for a long time. So when the hammer starts to come down, or the guillotine as this is, it's not gonna be comfortable.
And he did go on to say that he believes that if you are an undocumented immigrant who it hasn't caused any problems, you're a productive member of society, there should be a way for you to gain citizenship. There should be a pathway to citizenship, or at least amnesty. So his views are nuanced, and I think most people do have nuanced views on these difficult questions. People, don't just throw their humanity away because they disagree with undocumented immigration. But I do think that drawing these distinctions is important, and obviously that was like totally ripped away from him with the DHS using his likeness in one of their videos. Cenk.
Yeah, so a couple of issues here. Number one, I actually don't think it's that complicated, and I think that the overwhelming majority of Americans agree on immigration.
I think so
too. Number one, they say close the border, kick out undocumented criminals, okay? So almost everybody agrees with that.
Well, I will say, I actually disagree. I think that many Trump voters, I don't know what the percentage is, but this is the sense I get just from my personal interactions. They're definitely to the right of that ideology or that idea. So they think if you are in the country illegally, even if you've been here for many decades and you've never engaged in any crime, just the nature of you being in the country illegally means that you should be deported. I disagree with that. So
yeah, but Anna, so I'm getting to the 70 to 80% of the country that agrees, of course. So on the right, there's folks who love mass deportations. You're right.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that number is, 20% of Republicans or the country, et cetera. And then there's some on the left who go, no, even undocumented criminals should get to stay.
Yeah,
right?
They're crazy.
I know, but that's a much lower number, super low number, right? So, but the great majority of the country says close the border, take out the undocumented criminals, send them back, right? The ones that committed serious crimes. But we're in favor of due process. We don't want you to come in with masked agents without badges and scary looking vans. A couple of women have already been raped by guys pretending to be ICE because they have no badges. There's no way of knowing, right? So we don't want that. That looks nuts, like a third world country, right? And we don't want you grabbing up grandmothers and kids from the middle of the country. So why do I say that with such confidence? Number one, the polling indicates that. Number two, forget mainstream media. There's no point in talking about them because they're just propagandists, right? So when you talk about real media, the podcasters Theo Von, Joe Rogan, us on the left, some on the right again are in that extreme right category, right? But for most of the independent podcasters and broadcasters online, we almost all agree with that, right? With what I just stated and with what the great majority of American people want. But now there's a problem because Stephen Miller and Donald Trump want to serve the most extreme end of MAGA. That's point number one. But to be fair, you could say, hey, that's their base. Like Democrats hate their base, they like their base, they're going towards their base. Okay, but then Stephen Miller has a second problem. He says, okay, we got to beat Obama's record on deportations. He deported over 2 million people in 1 year. So get out there and just kidnap a whole bunch of people. It doesn't matter. Go in the middle of the country, grab the grandmas. Who cares, right? Just go, right? And then they said 2 million. I was like, even despite all that, I'm like, they didn't grab 2 million people. Then you watch the video and it says 1.6 million self-deportations. Where's that number come from? Okay, that's just a made up number. Okay, but okay.
Yeah, how do you verify that?
Yeah, can we just make that like 1.8 or 1.9 so you'll stop grabbing people that didn't do anything wrong, that didn't break any laws, etc. So guys, let's have a real debate about the hard things in immigration. Should we have a pathway to citizenship? How long should it last? What should be the real visa system? Instead of what's the corporate robbery that goes on now. Oh, just have a bunch of illegal immigrants come in. We'll pay them lower wages. We'll get them off the books so I don't have to pay their Social Security and Medicare or whatever. All these different tricks that corporations do. But of course, you can't talk about any of that because mainstream media is corporate media. So they don't want to tell you that it's corporations that are causing this problem, not a dude who crossed the border without $1 in his pocket or the left or the right.
All right, we don't have much time left to do a full story, but I just want to note that it's now been confirmed by US officials that we're trying to do regime change in Venezuela, which I predicted, we've talked about on the show before. I don't understand how this is in our best interest at all.
It isn't. It's in the best interest of ExxonMobil, who has bribed Trump and a number of officials through campaign contributions.
It's just crazy.
And if you're a Trump supporter, and a lot of our viewers are super interesting dudes there, we got conservatives, independents, obviously folks on the left, etc. And look, guys, you said anti-war, right? What part of anti-war is let's go kill a bunch of Venezuelan fishermen / drug traffickers, but we don't really know. There's no evidence of either way. Let's just bomb them and I was gonna say figure it out later, but actually never figure it out. And then let's bring like half the US Navy right next to Venezuela and go, come on, we'll kill more of your fishermen unless you, go ahead, respond a little bit. Oh, they sent a fly that annoyed us. That's it, invade Venezuela.
So tomorrow, I do want to talk about that with a little more detail, so you can expect that. I don't want to kind of drop the story and forget about it. Also, we'll talk about the debacle involving the H-1B visas and the Trump administration's changes to that program. There's some infighting on that, so we'll give you the details on that for tomorrow's show.
I think that H-1B visa story is so interesting, okay? Because it's so nuanced. Charging for H-1B visas is actually not crazy, okay? The amount he's charging might be crazy. So there's that's a super interesting story where Trump is a little right and a lot wrong, but there's a way to do that that's better, but instead, as usual, he's bungling it,
Cenk,
right?
Please save it for the show.
All right.
Okay, so we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.